Monday came, and it was 11 o'clock. They said we're going to schedule it for 11. And we were like, okay, let's go grab something to eat. Let's just, come back and let's just be prepared for what it is. And they come take them, and it was kind of different than all the other swallow studies because, going down, CJ just looking at him, he seemed different. He was so relaxed and calm, and it was just like he knew himself that everything was good, and he was just like waiting to give us that confirmation. And so the swallow study goes on. We switched it a little. I was up there in front this time, next to CJ, and she went behind the glass. So they did the swallow study, and I don't know, I was just so caught up in just the moment. So I looked at the screen, but not really knew exactly what was going on. I don't know, I just didn't want to get my hopes high. So as it went on, you see CJ does the swallow study, and after, I'm just waiting, waiting for her. I kind of look back to see what she's doing, because if she's giving me a smile or anything, I know it went well. But if she's a straight stare or a blank stare, it didn't go, the way we thought. So he does it. They call us back to look at the results. They call another doctor in just to, look over the results. He's asking us questions, and we're looking at it, and
we don't see no leaks.
Yeah, we don't see no leaks. She's telling me that, and I'm just like, okay, babe, let's.
But it's not wrapping in his head though.
Yeah, I'm still just like, I was just stuck in like, okay, that's fine, but it's always something. So let's just get through this.
And I'm like, there's no leak. I'm like, what could they possibly say? There's no leak, and it went down beautifully. I'm just like, okay, we're obviously still like, okay, we don't know, we don't know, but there's no leak. So that's what we know for sure.
And we took. After, her explaining it to me, you would have thought it was like my day one of just hearing about, the swallow
stuff. He was like, tell me again, baby. Tell me again what happened.
I just needed her to explain everything.
I was like, baby, ain't no leaks.
Man.
And he was just like, I don't know, babe. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, there's no leaks. And he just like, right, okay, all right, cool. And so we just like, all right.
It was definitely foreign to me. So the doctor talks to us about it. He's like, before we left to go back to CJ's room, he's like, well, I'm gonna, discuss with the other surgeon, but to me everything looks good, everything looks, healed, and I don't know, just kind of like took my body like a different way. Like I just felt kind of like weak, or just weird to get the feeling you've been waiting for, and for that day to finally be there. It was just like, okay, we've been through a lot. I got this good news, but what else is coming with this news? Because, okay, we took these steps forward, but what else am I going to get told that, can possibly hinder that feeling? So after the swallow study, I just remember getting ready to head back to his room, and, we're getting to the elevator, and, I look at CJ, and I just see his legs are crossed, and he just seems, so peaceful. So I don't know, that kind of put me on ease for a while, like, maybe this is, the end of the road. Maybe this might be, what we've been waiting on, but we still had to hear from the surgeon, before we could actually, take the next step. So, you want to tell them what happened after, once we talked to the surgeon?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. So basically we went upstairs, and I'm just like, okay, great, there's no leaks. This was 1 week after we had made 1 week
after pushing for Boston.
But see, this was in the same time as pushing for Boston, though, because this was like day 6, right?
We still were in the middle.
Still going back and forth, still just like, okay, how are we gonna do this? If we do have to do this, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get this money and everything like that? So there was a lot going on at the same time. So we're just like, okay, but this gave him more time to heal. And oh my goodness, boy oh boy. So what happened was, The surgeon came up and he just goes, okay, mom and dad. He goes, so I'm loving what I'm seeing. He goes, the esophagus could have never looked better. There's no leakage. There's no strictures. There's nothing. The esophagus looks perfectly fine. And he said, and I wouldn't even be opposed to him starting to feed by tomorrow. Yep. And we were like, what? Like, yep. He's about to feed. Whoa. So first, there's no leaks, but then he can feed. First of all, as you know, he's been on continuous feeding this entire time. Okay, but right now he's getting his nutrition through the central line. Mm-hmm. Did we talk about the central line already?
No.
Okay, so for right now, he's getting his nutrition through the central line. So we did not mention earlier that he has a central line. Okay, so there's it's called a Broviac, exactly. It's central line, Broviac, both names. Okay, so let me just explain to you. He hasn't had anything by mouth for his whole life, you know, because he wasn't getting milk through the G tube, but he was getting his nutrition through the central line this entire time that he was in the hospital this time. Mm-hmm. Not a single drop of anything, right? Like nothing in his stomach. Nothing. So the fact that he was able to feed by mouth, we were just like, oh my goodness, that is crazy. That is great. That is fantastic news. Mm-hmm. After we got that news, he walked out and we were like, oh my God, come here. I love you so much. We were like, we did it. Like what? That was one of the best feelings we ever felt in life. We could not believe it.
Whoever name popped up on my call, in my recent calls, they got a call. So
I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then so I'm like, we're so like geeked. We just like, oh my goodness, he's down the hallway talking to his people. I'm like in the room. I'm about to call my sisters, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I tell them, I'm just like, they said that, and this whole time I'm so hyped. And then when I finally say, like, they said that there was no leaks and he's able to feed by mouth. Once I said that on the phone, we all started bawling. Mm-hmm. Me, first of all, I got silent. And I was just like, are you guys crying? They were crying. I was crying. It was just like, what? Like, first of all, we thought that the only way that we were gonna get the help that CJ needed was for him to go to Boston. This is just a prime example that God's plan is always bigger and better than the plans of your own. He probably laughed at our plan, like, y'all want to go all the way to Boston? I'll just heal him. He'll come home. Yeah. Don't worry about it, you know? So I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, this is fantastic news. And so, wow, we were just like, oh my goodness. So we were just like, oh my God. We were crying over the phone. He's in the hallway talking to, I believe, who were you talking to again?
My dad, my mom,
talking to, oh my goodness. Just telling everybody the news, and we were just like, oh my goodness. And then we were just like, we have to make a video. You guys were so supportive. We cannot say it enough. Yep. You guys were so supportive and so helpful. We felt like we owe it to you guys. We had to let you guys be a part of that moment. Yep. Like, if nothing else, that moment, because that was one of the biggest moments that we had faced during that entire time. I mean, besides his surgeries and everything else that we went through, that was just a moment of just like, oh, wow, this is great. Yeah. So we had to make that video that we posted. After posting all the posts and everything, we had to make that video. Mm-hmm. And the amount of love and support that we got under that video and all the comments.
Thank you again. Definitely thank you, Rick.
We were crying together. Yep. There were so many people that were commenting with just like, I'm crying with you. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, these people everybody on this post, under this post, with 1,200 or whatever, everybody that saw these. All positivity, nothing but wow, that's nothing but God. Like, little man is so strong, and I'm praying for y'all. You guys are so strong, and God had a better plan, and God got y'all. It was just like, wow, like, the support is crazy. Mm-hmm. And we are so grateful for that. And so we were able to take our baby home like 2 weeks after that, like about 2 weeks after that, because he still had to go get one more.
He was getting off the medicine.
Oh, yeah, he has medicines.
And get up to his full feeding.
Oh, and get up to his full feeding. So he had to get off of his medicine. So he was on like Ativan, methadone, Versed, and there was one more that I can't remember.
I can't think of it either.
I can't think of it. There was so many medications that he took during his hospital life. There is no way that I think I would be able to remember every single thing, but I remember a lot.
No, you said methadone.
Yeah, yep. I don't remember. But it was one more because there was 4 main ones that he needed to get off of. And so we had to wait like 2 weeks for him to do that, for them to wean him off this medicine, and then also get him up to his continuous feed. So he was still getting, milk through the G-tube, because although he was able to bottle feed the next day, that's not it. There's still steps to this. Like first of all, he may not want to bottle feed
at this point,
or he may not even be able to have that coordination at first already. He may not want to suck anymore. Like, there's so many factors to it. So yes, he did great the very first day that he bottle fed, but the second day he didn't want it.
Yep.
And then so it was just like he had to still get the rest of his nutrition. It's not like you just give him the bottle and then he's good to go. Like, you're just going to be giving him 2 ounces of formula every 2 hours, like when you get home. It's not like that. So we still had to continue his feeding on through his G-tube. So we had to get him up to his full feeds, which was again 37 mLs. But when he gets home, we always up the feedings because we do as much as he tolerates. So up to 37 was like perfect for him to be able to go home, but we would work on it from there. And so he finally was able to come home, and he came home March 1st of 2020, and we were just like, okay, this was like the climax. So but you know what? God has a funny way of talking to us, because we already knew that was going to be the last step. Like, I felt like we both, right? Like, that's something that you feel in your heart and your soul, that it's the end. Like, you just feel it's the end. And we just knew that was it. That was it. That was the climax of the story. And then after that, it's just like, okay, that's it. We're hitting the ground running, regular lifestyle, back to normal. We already knew that was the climax, and that was it. So we were just very grateful that was the end of our journey, the end of our hospital journey. And he came back home, and it was amazing. He was still on continuous feeding, so we would up his feedings here and there, whatever he could tolerate. Yeah. And then what we decided to do is we were bottle feeding him as well, whatever he tolerates. So he would drink like 10 cc's, and that's like, it's hard to explain. It's not really it's not a lot. It's like not even an ounce. So it's just like we had to kind of measure how much he would swallow, and then sometimes he wouldn't want it, some days he would want it. So fortunately, March 29th, we did everything that we had to do to get him to bottle feeding. And we'll talk about that in the next video. But we did everything that we had to do, and he was a bottle feeding baby by March 28th. And it was one of the best days of our lives. It was just like, wow, now we are stepping into our season. He is stepping into his season. Like, this is it. And he's bottle feeding March 28th. I will never forget it. He was laying on my chest, and it was just me and him in bed. Yep. Took about 45 minutes for him to finish this bottle, but he found comfort in the bottle. And he went to sleep with that bottle. And I know that it's very hard to explain, but for a baby to not want the bottle, to being able to find comfort in the bottle and then allowing the bottle to put him to sleep, that means he's okay with it. He feels comfortable with it. He's now a bottle-fed baby. He should have never showed me that because I took out his connection to his continuous feeding. I unhooked that. So we were just, we made sure, okay, so it wasn't just that time, but like earlier that day, he also drank from the bottle, but it took him a while, but I just knew the second time that he did that, like, he's there. He wasn't, because typically he'll drink out of the bottle and then he'll be like, I don't want it. And then he'll be like, I don't want it. But the fact that he did this twice, I was like, he's ready. He's absolutely ready. So I took the connection out, and we never did continuous feeding again after that. That was it. And now he is crazy about that bottle.
It's so crazy, and he will get mad at you if you don't give him the bottle. So.
And I'm like, son, you didn't even know what a bottle was 2 months ago. Now you can't live without it. But we can't do anything but thank God.
Yeah, definitely.
We went through so much from June 14th, 2019 to March 1st, 2020. I mean, it was like, wowzer. I could not believe. Looking back, it doesn't even seem like it's our life.
You wouldn't know unless we actually told you. You wouldn't know, because doing it all, we still were
positive. But how could we not be? Like, he was cool. He was good. It was hard, but the fact that he was still alive, we really just held on to that and held that close to us.
Yeah.
We held that close to us. And that was really what we just held on to. That he was fine. And every single day we have a choice to either be sad about it or we have a choice to be positive about it. And trust me, we had them days where we was like, oh my God, this is too much, crying all day. It was tough. But of course, we don't really have to explain that, because I know that anybody in our situation would understand. Like, and even if you're not in our situation, just by our story, you hear how tough it was. But like I said, you have a choice, and we just chose to be positive throughout it. The whole time. And of course, like I said, we had our ups and downs, but I feel like our positivity and our support for each other and our understanding, and just like, okay, we it was basically a unknown situation in which you're gonna put your 2 feet down and you're gonna walk this path. And during the path, you're not gonna see any light throughout it. You're just gonna keep walking, and with all these, some of the bumps we had, you're just gonna run into a wall, bounce back, and at some point that gate is gonna open. You're gonna be able to go, but you're not gonna be able to get to the end until you go through all the gates. And March 1st, we got to the last gate, but we didn't get through it yet. Once we got home, she emphasized the importance of CJ and bottle feeding, and the doctors, told us, try, maybe once, see how he does, but she was, pushing it, trying maybe 3 times. Not forcing, but just, if he takes it, we made a step. If not, we come back to it. But we're always going to introduce it to him. Before any type of continuous feeding or anything, we were just like, no, we're going to introduce him to the bottle. But of course, we're going to tell you about all of that in our next video. Like, we're definitely going to walk you through how we got him off of continuous feeding, what steps we took. So we're definitely gonna tell you guys everything. We just don't want this video to be so long. We can't put everything in this video.
So thank you again.
Just really thank you guys for tuning into this video. Thank you so much for watching it. Thank you so much for allowing us to tell you our story. And thank you so much for just
being helpful through a tough situation for us.
Yes. We really appreciate you guys so much, and we really appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.